What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training. And today we're going to be breaking down 3 ways to run a speed out route. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how you guys can run this speed out against press coverage, outside leverage, and then how you got to be able to run a speed out against off-man coverage, inside shade, and then we're going to be talking about how to blaze an out route. Okay, so I hope this video gives you guys a value and it teaches you a few new things just about route running and what you guys can do to create separation on a speed out. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want an ultimate wide receiver training schedule, what it is a 4-week on-field training schedule for wide receivers combined with a 4-week gym training schedule for wide receivers, okay? So it's all the specific exercises, drills, and all the above that you guys need to do to improve your overall game. We break it down for you with sets, repetitions, and we include an instructional video where we break down each day of the plan, the importance of each exercise, and then all the specific, or all the drills just pretty much broken down to specifics, and we show a full speed example. So if you guys want access to that, our ultimate wide receiver training schedule, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get started. So we're going to be looking at this rider from Devontae Smith. He does a great job of taking this inside release, hitting this DB with a rocker step, and then making this play. So with an inside release on an out route, there's 2 ways you could approach this, right? So why would this DB be outside shade? This is a common look that you guys will see, especially when you're out of the slot. But why would he be outside shade, right? Again, it's one-on-one, so we don't know the full coverage that they're in, obviously. But he would be outside shade because he probably has help to the inside. He wants him to run to the inside. Now, again, it's one-on-ones. He obviously doesn't have help to the inside, but it still means that they're working the situation. It still means that they're working on, because there are times where this guy's going to be playing man coverage, but he's outside shade, right? So that's the situation we're working on. So we got to make sure that we have a plan when I have an outside breaking route. So if he's outside shade, why wouldn't you want to just force the outside release? Why is it so important that you don't always take an outside release on an outside breaking route? It's because if he's able to get hands on you and you force this thing, he's going to get right into your hip, force you to that sideline, and knock you off this thing. So anytime I got to take an inside release on out route, I got to work to do 2 things. Got to work to restack, or if he plays it well, I got to work to throw by, right? So I take the inside release. I don't force anything. The whole number 1 goal is to keep timing with my quarterback. So you see how when he comes off the line of scrimmage, he gives this little shoulder reduce technique. Now this shoulder reduce technique is a great way to work that restack. It's putting you in that position to get you back over the top to where this DB is trailing your back hip, right? So I dip my shoulder, I restack, I get over the top. Now I can pretty much do whatever I want with him, right? So make sure that when we're doing this, you guys are doing everything possible, like dipping that shoulder, really accelerating to the inside to get back over the top of the DB and get him trailing your back hip, okay? So now, number 1 thing when we get to this spot right here is I got to make sure I reassess myself vertical. I got to keep the same speed. I can't start chopping my steps and slowing down. I really got to get this DB to overcommit because A, he doesn't have hands, B, I restacked him, right? So now, this is a great move to use. He used this rocker step, right? So a rocker step, for those of you that don't know, is a double step at the top of the break. So it's like we want to step in the direction that we're going first. So I want to step left, then right. It's just a 1-2, right? So it's literally if you're breaking to the left, step with the left foot first, sell with your upper half to the right. We are trying to sell like we are running a speed cut post, a speed cut dig. So we got to make sure that my hips, my shoulders, my eyes, everything sells back to the inside because that DB is supposed to be watching my hips. So I actually got to sell with my upper half, actually have to sell with my hips to get this DB to jump. And then when I can get him in this position where he shifts his weight to the outside even just a little bit, my job is to win the race to the ball, make sure I'm pumping my arms, and I accelerate out of this break. That's a textbook route there from Devontae Smith. Now, again, like I said, let's say he's playing this thing well. What would you think you would do? If you're running an out route with an inside release, you want to swat him by. So you would swat by the back of his hip, back of his shoulder. Don't make it obvious and extend and push off. You just use his momentum, swat him by, and then you're able to slip underneath it. You got to start having a plan, fellas. You got to make sure that you know when you come up to the line, if you're playing a team that likes to go outside shade leverage and it's press coverage and you're running a lot of out routes, you're running a lot of corner routes, how can I create the most separation? I'm not forcing the outside release. I take the inside release. Let's have a plan at the top of the route. The top of the route is where routes are won and lost, right? It's not off the line. Anybody can get off a press, but not a lot of people can win at the top of the route and get out of their breaks efficiently. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Smith, not forcing it, keeping him honest with that move, and then hitting that rocker step at the top of the break, okay? So now let's talk about how to run a speed out versus off-man inside shade, okay? So now let's watch this thing full speed. Now, what a lot of people will do in this case is they'll just run the out route, right? They'll just go to the outside because, again, oh, well, this DB's inside shade. He's giving me the outside. I'm just going to take the outside release, right? That's not the case. That's not what you want to do because, again, you got to understand a DB's leverage. You got to be able to read a DB off the line of scrimmage. You got to think like a DB as a wide receiver to structure the plan that you're going to be using, right? So when we see this DB who's inside inside shade, and he's about what? He's about 7-8 yards off, right? So why is he inside shade in the first place? He doesn't have help to the inside, right? There's no help to the inside. The help he has is the sideline. So he is pretty much on an island here, and he's an off man. Off man, fellas, should be a freaking gift. That is something that I love to see every single time I was a receiver, every single time I was a quarterback. Is probably the easiest coverage to beat if you understand the principles of attacking leverage, right? So you see when Claypool comes off, why wouldn't he just run to the outside? Because it's exactly where the DB wants us to go, and he's going to get right into my hip, force me to where I only have like a yard or two from the sideline, and that's an impossible throw from the quarterback. So what do you think we want to do? We want to square him up and attack his leverage. So when I attack his leverage like this DB doesn't play it honestly that great because he starts backpedaling, right? You don't want to backpedal an off man. You want to be able to keep that leverage because if Claypool is going to run a post route right now, he easily could because this DB's backpedaling. He would want to keep his leverage to the inside. He would want to protect the leverage to the inside shape. But now when I have an outside breaking route and I attacked his leverage and I moved him off this thing, look at all the space I just created for myself. I have all kinds of space to where I could accelerate out. Quarterback, all he has to do is put it out on time and he could throw me right open to that window. So that's why we attack that leverage. We got to square up that DB and we got to make sure that we throw that 1-2 when I have an outside breaking route like this. And you see, again, it's like that same rocker step that Devontae Smith used. A rocker step is a great thing to use when you have an out route, any kind of route off a speed cut. So you see how his hips, his shoulders, everything about this is saying that he's running a post, right? And then now we get that DB to hesitate. Now all I got to make sure that I do is I accelerate out. I win the race to the ball. Ball was extremely late. If that ball's on time, Claypool doesn't even have a problem making this catch. We just got to make sure, fellas, we understand the principles of attacking leverage. Now you might ask, well, what if he has an inside breaking route, right? You'd want to do the opposite. I know this video is focused on speed outs, but if we have inside shade guy and we're running an inside route, you don't want to do the exact same thing because imagine if you attack his leverage, he keeps his leverage, he plays it well, then you run a post right into him. That's not going to work. You'd want to do the opposite. You want to make him think that I'm just taking the outside release. You'd want to attack his outside shoulder. You want to break him into like half. You attack the outside shoulder as hard as you can, force the hip flip, and then I slip back underneath and run the post. Or maybe in some cases, if you're just way faster than the guy, you could work to restack. So you got to make sure, fellas, understanding how to attack inside leverage press, inside leverage off man, outside leverage press, outside leverage off man when you are running a 10-yard speed out. Do not force anything. Make sure we attack this DB and we threaten him to where we don't want, where we obviously we want him to think that I'm going where I don't want to go, but make him jump to the side opposite of where I'm going, obviously, right? So let's watch the thing full speed one more time. Great job squaring him up, attacking that leverage, hitting him with that 1-2, then obviously bursting out of this break. All right, guys, if you haven't heard about it, we are coming to Las Vegas for a quarterback and wide receiver clinic for youth and high school quarterback and wide receivers. So what you'll get access to is it's going to be a 3-hour clinic. We're going to be discussing all the details of the wide receiver position and then the quarterback position, obviously for a quarterback group. And then we're flying out a Division I speed coach for you guys to work on just overall running mechanics, improve your 40-yard dash, and all the above. So if you're in the Las Vegas area and you are anywhere from the ages of like second grade all the way up to high school, those are the 2 clinic age ranges. Hope you guys could check out that second link in the description below, September 11th and September 12th, Las Vegas area. Hope you guys could check that out. Let's get started with this next clip, okay? So now we're going to be talking about a blaze out route, okay? So what is a blaze out? A blaze out, when you hear that, a lot of people call it a post out. It is a post out. I refer to it as a post out, but a lot more commonly some people say that this is a blaze out, right? So what blazing the out means is that rather than taking a speed out cut, rather than taking a speed cut, we kind of take like almost like a breakdown cut, like you're snapping down, right? So you see how when this receiver, and it's usually off of a post stem because you're going post, and then it's very hard to break off the post and get straight to a 90 without breaking your hips down, without dropping your hips, and without being violent with your hips, right? So that's what that's for. So when he comes off of here, see how he breaks to the post, 1, 2, bam, snaps on the inside leg. It's 3 steps to the post to hopefully get this DB's eyes in the backfield, get him to commit to this post, and then I'm able to change direction here. So I would say the most important thing about a blaze out route is that when you do this, when you do any kind of out route off of a post stem, you got to make sure that we accelerate. We got to make sure that I'm bursting out of this thing. I got to make sure that I have a violent change of direction and that I actually sell the post. The post stem out route, you got to make sure that your hips and your shoulders are committed. You got to make sure that you have your eyes to the inside and you have speed into this break. Everything about this needs to say post because that's what will get a DB to commit, whether he's an off man, whether he's in zone and you're trying to cross his or simulate that you're crossing his face, or whether it's press man like this. So we got to make sure that we're able to do this. And then when I blaze that out route, it's all about getting your hips turned, right? So you see when he takes that second step of the blaze out, he's pivoting that foot. His toes are starting to point forward because now he hooks the third step around around, and he could push off this thing and drive, right? That's the most important thing that you got to be able to do when you're running a blaze out. You snap, you drop your hips to be able to decelerate, you pivot your step to get your hips turned, and then you hook the third step around to really drive and to really accelerate and win the race back to the ball. It's a great route. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job showing this perfect example of how to run this blaze out, being able to get out of this route and accelerate back to that ball. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this video gave you guys some value. You learned a few new things. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And again, fellas, ultimate wide receiver training schedule, full gym and on-field wide receiver training schedule with sets, reps, exercises, and we include an instructional video where we break down each exercise and explain the importance. Check out that very first link in the description below, guys. And again, if you're in the Las Vegas area, check out that second link in the description. Come out to one of our clinics. Great opportunity for you guys to get some work in and get better. Hope you guys could check both those things out. I'll see you guys next time.